Welcome to video number 4 of the Greater Reality Healing Program. Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Pitstick. To learn more about my training and outreaches, visit soulproof.com/about. Please watch the earlier videos for this program if you've not already. The article numbers I mentioned are free at soulproof.com/articles. And the ebooks, audiobooks, and the audio programs I mentioned are also free at soulproof.com/shop. In this video, I'm talking about key number 3 to journeying from deeply grieving to brightly shining, and it's called Grieve Your Own Way. It's important to give yourself permission to mourn in ways that feel right to you. Listen to your inner voice about how to proceed and know that help is available if and when you need it. Now, others might say to you, oh, you should be over this by now. Just get another puppy. It's time to find another partner. I work with parents and they're told, it's been 3 months. You ought to be over this by now. And of course, that's just ignorant. But the grieving process varies for different people. You may still grieve the bodily death of your dear ones, even though you know they're around in spirit and you'll see them again. So this program, the Greater Reality Healing, can lighten and abbreviate your grieving in many, many cases. My dad, Bill Pitstick, and I were very close. After his human form passed, I hugged it and cried long, hard, and loud. Conscious language alert. Notice I didn't say I hugged him because I didn't hug Dad, just his cast-off earthly overcoat. His energy, soul, or most of it, was already off to greener pastures by then. Also notice my wording, after his human form died. I didn't say after he died because 99.9% of who and what he is, not was, didn't die. That's such a crucial point that I'll emphasize it repeatedly in this course. This was a very primal release after losing my dear father and best friend. However, at the same time, I also felt relief that he was no longer suffering and was becoming healthy and whole again. I also felt happy that I would see him again someday and look forward to getting signs and visits from him. Now, I had never before felt such contrasting emotions of deep sadness and simultaneously relief and happiness. And at first I was puzzled. How can you feel both opposites so much? Deep sadness, but also happiness and relief. But I soon realized that societal programming is based on the fear of death and change, and had taught me that it had to be one way or the other. Happy or sad, but that's not true. Now you may say, well, that's great, Mark, but your dad was 80 years old and suffered from leukemia and other health problems. However, my loved one who passed was young and healthy. How am I supposed to feel peace and joy about that tragedy? Again, reaching this level of awareness, feeling all the simultaneous contrasting emotions, usually isn't easy or overnight. However, many bereaved parents, especially those who were able to detect clear signs and visits from their post-material children, started their awakening journey very quickly. I saw amazing demonstrations of this at the 2024 Helping Parents Heal conference that was attended by over 1,100 parents with one or more children who had passed. There was some sadness, yes, longing for the physical contact. Sure, they wish it hadn't happened, but there was also lots of real joy, peace, kinship that their kids were alive and well. Their resolve to find and share the silver linings, to create more meaning and make their kids more proud of them, gave me renewed hope for humanity. And these Shining Light parents, by the way, are one of the groups that make me think that we really can help all people and our world in the upcoming decade. And I talk about that more in article number 119 greater reality helping. So these parents, again, chose, because it's a day-to-day choice, to take the high road and focus on positive expectancy of getting signs from their beloved kids. In addition, they were energized about seeing their children again after they passed on. During the conference, several non-attendees saw the hugging, laughter, camaraderie, and they came up to some people I knew and said, "Wow, what a great group. How can I get invited to this?" And of course, they said, "No, you don't want to be in this group." And this is ironic because bereaved parent organizations are called the group that no one wants to belong to. So back to my dad. When he received his terminal diagnosis a few weeks before passing on, we talked about the sadness, deep sadness that we both felt. And I said, "Dad, sadness is like diarrhea. You shouldn't try to hold it in." And always a fan of a good joke, he laughed out loud at that one. So to learn more about and benefit from the events that happened around his end of this life journey, see article number 79. Again, conscious language. As I say, end of this life journey, not end of life. Life doesn't end. But this particular facet of it, this earthly experience, of course, does. Now, it seems to me that people grieve differently for a number of reasons. First of all, their level of consciousness. Are you a beginner, intermediate, or more advanced soul now? And these terms describe how evolved your awareness is, not necessarily the age of your soul, that is how long you've been around. It's how quickly you learn lessons. And don't worry about what level you're at right now, because as many great religious and spiritual teachers across time have said, you can see the light. You can realize your true nature. You can live accordingly whenever you're ready. As the saying goes, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Another factor is your age. In general, elders have more experiences to draw from when things get tough. However, the first factor, your level of consciousness, your degree of soul advancement, can trump this one. For example, an advanced soul manifesting in a young person's body may process grief better than a beginner soul playing its role in an elderly earth suit. A third factor is the number of changes you're going through. Getting double teamed by 2 or more big changes in a short period of time can make it more difficult to keep your balance. I recently worked with a woman whose mom passed on, and then shortly thereafter, her son's body died in an accident. Soon after, her husband became blind and lost his job. That's a lot of changes in a short period of time. However, with the information and resources shared in this program, she got a personal counseling session. She was able to remember the great news, heal, and become a greater force for good in our world. A fourth factor about how you grieve is how close were you to the person, or how close are you, more accurately stated, who moved on. You may grieve more over one person or pet than others, and some people feel guilty about that. Maybe they have a child pass, they have 3 others, and they're really grieving the one. They're like, we were always really close. We were especially close. I suspect this is mainly a function of being primary or secondary soulmates, but other factors can be involved. For example, were they one of your last remaining dear family members or friends on Earth? Did you share a special bond that makes their apparent absence more difficult? Another factor about how you grieve is the severity of changes. For example, this factor can be relative. Consider the impact when teenagers transition by suicide versus octogenarians pass on while asleep. One is obviously much more severe and seemingly tragic, when in fact they're both just ways back home, ways to exit from this earthly experience. Another factor is the quality of your support team. Dealing with big changes is easier when you have a large group of loving and supportive family members, friends, and pets. Past teachings about life, death, and afterlife is another factor that affects grieving. Have you in the past attended open-minded and open-hearted spiritual centers that did a good job of explaining who you really are, why you're here, and who walks beside you always, and that there is an afterlife and there's nothing to fear? Or have you been exposed to fear-based fundamentalist teachings, preachings, that you're sinful, you could fry in hell forever, there's only one way to salvation? Another factor, did you have a chance to say, see you later? Not goodbye, but see you later, and or make peace with the person who was transitioning? Were you present at the funeral or memorial service? Those are obviously for people left on earth, not the person who left. And did you actively grieve at the time of passing or not? You know, like I said with my dad, it's good to get it out. You don't want to hold that in. That takes a lot of energy to hold in that sadness and grief, and that's why it's good to let yourself yell and cry and so on in the beginning. In my holistic breathing technique, described in article number 70, explains how you can do that, really get that out so you get more clear, so you're not carrying it around. And by the way, that audio program is free, as are all my digital products at soulproof.com/shop. So while compiling this list of factors that affect how a person grieves, I realized at a deeper level why grieving can be so difficult. It involves so many varying feelings and changes with family, friends, and furry ones. Ones that are difficult for humans to experience. By the way, I said it can be difficult to remind you that ultimately you can choose how you react, and you don't have to be like most people. And some of these shining light parents, I mean, the one of the founders and the president, Elizabeth Boyson, she was looking for more evolved groups for parents with children who passed on within a week of her son's passing. So you don't have to, mourn deeply forever. You can mobilize yourself more quickly and say, okay, I'm going to find the silver linings, I'm going to share them, I want to make my child proud. And this is true for anyone, whether it's a spouse, a family member, a pet. So this program helps you make an informed choice and provides resources for taking higher energy paths, that is, ones that involve peace, joy, love, gratitude, enthusiasm, enlightenment. By the way, lower energy emotions and actions, those involving guilt, anger, sadness, loneliness, etc., can indirectly create blessings. And that sounds a little counterintuitive, but the way is they can serve as a contrast and show you how you don't want to be after one day or maybe one lifetime of more negative, lower energy thoughts, words, and actions. You can awaken and say, hey, this isn't working for me. I deserve to feel and be better. I think I'll try a higher energy approach. And some people have verbalized this, like they started off mourning the way society says you should, or what's normal, and they're like, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to do this. There's a better way. So this is a good example of how, from a greater reality perspective, it's really true that it's all good, it's all God, just like you hear the saying. And the more you primarily identify with your real self, and the more you learn the evidence-based information and use the holistic resource in this program, the more this will become obvious. Again, it's all good, it's all God. Here are some suggested action steps. First, after deep relaxation, prayer, and/or meditation, ponder what would help lighten and abbreviate your grief. Say a prayer, ask for help to allow you to do that. Attend Greater Reality Healing meetings when they start. We hope late spring 2025. We're working with the coordinators and volunteers to form those. And when local groups start forming, consider starting your own. Attend other grief recovery groups, and if you feel called to do so, share some of the evidence-based information and holistic resources from this program. Information, resources, and action steps in the following articles have helped many people grieve optimally in their own way. Number 29, optimally handling suffering. 51, meditation, yoga, and relaxation. 74, is your life unfolding perfectly? 79, changing worlds in 8 days, about my dad. And 88, prayer. So I hope you put all that to use. God bless. Let it shine.